From the dawn of time, our ancestors have left us with the tales. Stories which speak of things that they have seen and lived alongside by, feared, respected, and even looked to some of them as godlike. Modern man refers to such things as spirits, extraterrestrials, demons, cryptids, creatures, and entities of all kinds, and so much more. These things and tales are now referred by most as myths and legends. But there are those of us that know what our ancestors spoke of was the truth. Those of us that have become obsessed in searching for answers and finding out the truth are here. We need the truth. This search brings us into the realm of the unexplained and unknown. It brings us on the trail. The search for living legends. Please join JR and I on the quest, and welcome to the search.
Well, gentlemen, we are recording. What that's I asked her, but okay, everybody, welcome to another edition of On the Trail in Search of Living Legends. It's going to be episode 14. We had a great episode last week, the Super Bowl special with Jason Trost from Cryptovania, and it was a blast. So we intend to have another blast this week. We got Mr. Carter Buschardt. Did I say that right?
Buschardt. Close enough.
So, okay, I didn't want to offend you or anything. So
you're good. Yeah,
it's a pleasure to have you on. I know we've never had a chance to talk in the past, but swam in the same circle, so it's fine.
Yeah,
Pleasure.
We all have the same subject matter, pretty much.
Exactly. And once again, I've got Mr. Nate Rudd. Nate, how's it going?
Hello. Doing good, Jeremiah. Doing good. Carter, good to see you. Thanks for coming on. We got Gary there somewhere, huh?
Last but certainly not least,
the most inadequate one in this bunch after looking at this guy's resume. Wow.
Well, it's all showbiz, you know.
I read it. It's impressive, yeah. Got Mr. Gary Spikes Jr. Jr., say hello.
I'm here and enjoying every minute of it. Still going over your resume, Mr. Carter. Wow. How'd you get Rod Moorhead into it?
Yeah, well, I crammed a lot of life into a short period of time, you know, as far as Bigfoot goes. I went from old rock and roll drummer to comic to selling real estate, which I'm still doing sort of, but the Sasquatch thing is just, keeps me up at night.
It's all consuming, isn't it? Yeah.
Wow, it's just ridiculous,
Yeah.
I did remember today was Valentine's Day, so the wife was and everything was good,
Yeah,
that's good.
I barely remember.
Yeah.
How the Sasquatch, once you get sucked into this world of Sasquatch, man, it really grabs a hold of you, and shit, there's not a day that goes by I don't think about it,
No.
Yeah.
And when I got into it, it was, I was trained and welcomed into a group, but it's an ape, they can do no other things. It's just a dumb ape in the woods. And what did I know when I started this, and I had more people telling me weird stuff, paranormal, abstract, esoteric stuff before it actually happened to me, then I went out to some of their homes, their properties, habituation places. And that's when the weird stuff started going on. And I was going, okay, we're on the right track, but the wrong trail, so.
Yeah. That's how I started too. I changed theories 6 times, started out with another group, just a dumb ape, but that's not the case. It's not the case.
And the thing that's divisive from my end was that they weren't open to other explanations. It was either this or nothing.
Exactly.
And my thing is, well, you got to at least consider the stuff. You don't have to believe it, but Because these people, and you hear, I've talked to probably 300 witnesses over a 10 or 11 year period. I'm up to almost 100 reports published with BFRO. And, a large number of these people are telling you stuff, and they're telling you the same thing that somebody else who they don't even know. They're describing some of the same things, and they don't know one another, and they haven't heard one another's reports. And so there's got to be something going on. And that was it for me, just like a little tap on my shoulder. I went, I need to start paying attention. I really can't listen to my buddies I started with because they're still there and I'm over here. It's not that I'm superior or anything like that. It's just I'm considering multiple possible explanations instead of just one.
Well put. Same here.
Yeah.
Well put.
Yeah.
And I think we all are.
Yeah. And if some of this stuff doesn't come to pass, like, the mind speak, let's just say, pick something. Well, we were wrong about that. What it really was, I heard a radio or whatever the explanations is. Once you hear that stuff for yourself and hear it from witnesses, where you go, man, I can't take that off the books unless something else explains it on down the road. And the more we learn, the more we may discard. But I discard very little, unless when I know I'm being yanked, then then it's all gone,
Yeah. But you almost got to think like that to move the ball forward. Some of these other guys they're kind of stuck, like Jeremiah said. And, they're not really making much. They're not making much progress.
And that right there causes division in what we're doing. And I just got through listening to a Steve Isdall and Scott Carpenter put out the video about, the division. And, we got two camps, paranormal and
the metaphysical. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. So you got those factions battling each other. So we're going to end up like science, who is controlling everything, and they're bickering and fighting. And so if we don't come together and, quit trying to be the first one and the biggest and the best, let's share some data and do some things, because, science has us right where they want us. And so does the government. We're fighting amongst ourselves. We're not getting anything done.
Right.
Nothing better than to watch your competition self-destruct right in front of you. And you don't have to do anything except, put some disinformation out there, and all the blob squatches with the red circles on them and all that stuff that people are throwing around on Facebook. I just, oh my God, this is just killing us. It's killing us. It's just
sounds like us.
Stupid. We look really bad and disjointed. We're hurting ourselves more than anybody else is hurting us.
I gotta agree to disagree with I have a lot of respect for Steve and Scott.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for both of them, and I believe it's not just those two camps.
Somewhere in the middle too.
Exactly.
Oh yeah,
I was just going to say that.
That's in the middle. I mean, and then you have all the political side of it, like Carter was saying, of the personal agendas. We need to bring the thing together. And Carter, we've got a group of guys that we are really pushing for that in a scientific, because I honestly think that a lot of for the lack of better terms, the spiritual side of things is, people's personal interpretations of the stimulus of the spiritual side of things can be explained scientifically through the infrastructure or infrasound, or maybe even, we might even find out that these things can manipulate electromagnetic pulses. I think that it could be proven scientifically if we can look at it at a more, what's the word I'm looking for? Pragmatic view.
Yeah. Well, we don't know what we don't know. That's why you got to consider all that, and the quantum physics, quantum science, quantum math, all the stuff that can explain some of the stuff that we just poo-poo off and call it, woo. I don't even like the word. It's a terrible word, but paranormal I will use. Paranormal is just outside the normal. So
not normal. Yeah.
Not normal.
What do we use? What's the new one we use? Paranatural.
Paranatural. There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just if you just have open mind and open dialogue, which is going to be really impossible with some of the factions we have, but
yes,
if we can just have, and part of what I'm writing in this new book, if it becomes a book, is talking about, having a uniform code of acceptable terms and terminology and things of that nature, just to start, and get rid of the blob squatch photos, get rid of the red circles, get rid of all that. And just, we look stupid to science and the government. And that's exactly what they want, because we're just bickering and fighting and doing all this crap to one another and with one another. And they don't have to do anything. We're creating disinformation ourselves because we can't even agree to disagree about anything. It's just very, very, very frustrating,
It is.
It is.
And I liken it to the UFO thing from the 40s and 50s. Oh, that's just swamp gas. These people are hallucinating. They're dreaming. We're going to discredit them. We're going to ruin their lives. We're going to make fun of them, and they're going to go away. And, then what, 80 years later? Oh, yeah, they exist. We knew it all along. I think the same thing's going to happen with Sasquatch. They know we're going to get close enough, and like the Tic Tac videos with the UFO and the government.
Yeah.
It's like, we can't fight this anymore. We'll go ahead and admit it, It's going to be the same with Sasquatch. Someone's going to get so close and be so persistent that they're going to go, okay, this is what we got.
Yeah.
Remember that Patterson film? It's real. And remember Freeman? That's real. It's going to come out. It's just, I want it to happen sooner than later, because just in case there's no afterlife, I want to know it now I'm on Earth.
Yeah.
And who knows how many guys like us have stuff that they just don't want to share.
That's it, Jeremiah. Yeah.
With each other.
Well, it is.
I'll guarantee you there's a lot of good evidence out there that people are afraid to share because they're afraid that they're going to get ripped, up in the community.
Absolutely.
And here's something hilarious. I did Behind the Tall Trees, I think it was Tuesday night or Wednesday. And right before we went on, my phone starts blowing up and I'm looking at my phone and there is a picture of a Sasquatch hand. It is clear as a bell.
Wow.
And this guy contacted me and I stuck it up and showed it to the guys. Just because it kind of a tease. I can't share this with you, but I'll show it to you. And then I took it away because I was just like, I didn't know what to do. And I get this wild, crazy story about halfway, probably 30 minutes or less before I sit down and do the interview. And so it is the clearest photo of a hand probably anybody has seen here.
Wow. Is it a game cam pic, Carter?
Yeah.
That's what I figured. Yeah.
Creature walked right in front of it. Guy was hunting. And he decided to go back up, crawl back up on his tree stand. Now, this isn't his property, it's somebody else's property. So he decides to go climb back up his stand, just sit there and take a chill, smoke a cigarette, and just watch the kind of sun go down. And he sees a Sasquatch just walk out of the tree line about 75 yards straight ahead. And he's watching, it walks right in front of the camera that he had put up the day before.
Wow.
So see if he's got any. It is what it is. It's just like, oh my God, really?
It's so good. Clear. It's hard to, yeah.
Well, I mean, in saying that, if we have a theory, we've got a question. I won't say a theory, me and Nate and Jeremiah talked about it a lot about that they see infrared and they dodge game cameras. Or if the guy's got a picture of one and it walking right in front of it, then that kind of throws that theory out.
Mm-hmm. Well, it could be that they have when they're here, they're ruled by physical laws of the earth. Maybe they can come and go as they want. But who knows? I'm of the opinion that it's entirely possible they can do both. They can come and go. I mean, who knows where they're from and how long they've been here. You want me to do a real quick tease?
Sure.
Jesus. Oh my Lord.
Goodness. Look at the fingernail structure. Look at the thickness of the fingernail structure. Good God.
It's something. It just, you're looking at it and going, The fingernails, the first thing I did, of course, was, pull out my gorilla pics and chimps and bonobos and orangutans, and it's right there. The only thing it's really kind of close to in the animal world will be maybe a beaver front hand, not the back feet, the web, but the front. But no, the fingernail detail and
I mean, there's like
the nail goes
even the cuticles.
It's I mean the knuckles, the wrinkles of the knuckles and the skin.
It's awesome.
And it's silver. I mean, I pulled it, and I have a picture of a hand that's not nearly as good as this from one of my habituation folks. And it's holding its hand kind of like this, but you can see the silver of the knuckles, and it looks like it's holding something in its hand. And it walks by a trail cam, same as this photo. Now, this one is green, but it came from Arkansas, and so right now down in Arkansas and Texas, everything's still green. In fact, here in Missouri, if the snow finally melts, we still got green grass.
Yeah.
We don't have leaves on trees like they do in this photo. But I vetted the photo. I ran it through the, tampering stuff, and it's 2 weeks old.
Wow.
That
is amazing. I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah. I'm gonna talk to the guy, and I've already been invited down to his place, spend some time, and as long as I can stay there. He's got a little shed out in the middle of nowhere.
Nice.
He said, "Come on down whenever you want." And I can't tell you who the witness is. The guy that owns the land is not the guy who had the picture, but he gave it to the landowner because he wanted him to see what was on his property. He lets this one guy and one guy only hunt his property, so it's just him and one other guy. And so when I was like, oh boy, the photo, you just go, holy crap! It just fell in my lap. I didn't have to do anything. I mean, it's just like boom. Hey, I heard you investigate Sasquatch, and want you to take a look at this. What do you think?
Wow.
And
I'll bet it was hard to concentrate on that show right after that, right?
It was, and I showed it like I showed to you guys.
Yeah.
Going, oh wait, show it again. Hey, somebody. But it's a photo of a photo. But
that's something you get real excited about. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's
something worth getting excited.
Of course, it's not evidence, but it's evidence of an event. As far as science goes and the public, that's not events. And if it's the better the picture, the more likely it's fake, right? Because if it's too good, it's fake. If it's a blob squatch, well, that's what's a crap? Why do you even put that on the air? So
that reminded me, and they both seen the picture, and you guys are going to agree. I've got two 14-inch tracks in North Carolina with toenails / claws just like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
identical. First time I'd ever seen them.
Yeah,
appearing like that.
And you've never shared them with anybody?
Just these guys.
Yeah, because the stigma of getting roasted online and everybody calling you a hoaxer and that's baloney.
Yeah.
There's so much vitriol right now.
Just these guys.
Yeah. So I mean, people you trust and know, if you want to have an intelligent, debate between you, like yes it is, no it isn't. Well, that's fine. It's all intelligent, mature, and your friends after, but all the hate and garbage that's on there right now on the internet, really, with the Sasquatch subject, because everybody's wanting to be first, and the big discovery, you get the body or whatever, and that's not how you get anywhere. I
want to backtrack a little bit with this. Carter, you're in a very interesting situation in my books with your relationship with Mr. Moorhead, and you had mentioned the quantum physics.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to. This is an ongoing debate with us guys. I am very metaphysical, but I also believe in the paranormal. But you made a statement about these things being able to walk where they can, when they want to, and walk from portal to portal. I'm going to have a very silly question, it may sound, but it's very endearing to me.
Sure.
If these things could walk between portals and change their metaphysical body, change the weight of their body, like a lot of the for lack of better terms, even Ron talks about it, and I've got the utmost respect for Ron. I think he's a pioneer of this field.
Yeah.
And I put him up there with Bob Gimlin, and but if they can change their say their weight, their physical weight, and their metaphysical being, and walk through portals, why would us trackers be finding tracks? Why would we have the cast hanging on your wall? Why would they have a need to leave if they don't want us knowing that they're there? Why would they have a need to leave, say, tracks?
Well, I think that they are controlled by our physical environment. They are flesh and blood with possible other quantum or abstract skill sets. So
very well put.
They react and interact with our physical three-dimensional planet and us and people and campers and hikers and all that. But I think if they need to or want to or have to, they might be able to cloak or slip into another dimension, and part of this book I'm working on right now is I did a bunch of research on infrasound, and you cannot see something that is not there unless you have schizophrenia or paranoid schizophrenia or some serious mental issue, unless you have an outside stimulus. So infrasound can do that. Infrasound can cause you just to quit paying attention for a split second. Maybe you're out and then back in. I blinked and I was looking right at it and poof, it was gone. Well, you blinked and it was gone. Well, maybe you only think that happened. Maybe what really happened is it zapped you, and paralyzed you. And I've had that happen to me, and I've seen it on other people. So it may be that is just a way of escaping. Maybe they can bend the light with their hair follicles and appear to do things. The whole thing's open because nobody knows. Somebody knows. I'm pretty sure the government knows, and the paper companies and lumber companies, they know, but I mean, somebody knows these things, but since we don't know, we have to entertain a lot of stuff. And that's when real Moorhead came in, with the language. And the one thing that I had in the first book, which was he heard the camp being destroyed, ripping up oil drums that they stored their food and firewood in, throwing stuff all over the place. They heard everything they owned out there being destroyed. They go out there, not a thing had happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
Heard it. And that's in his book. That's in the Sierra Sounds. And I believe it's also in the Quantum Bigfoot.
It is. It's in the first 3 chapters, one of the first 3 chapters.
Yeah. And so they don't even have to be able to slip into dimensions if they're using infrasound to create a distraction. Let's just call it a distraction.
Yeah.
All these guys, 4 or 5 of them, heard everything they owned being torn to shreds, and they went back out, and it was just a show. Nothing had happened, but they all heard it. They're all going, oh, we got to go out and clean all this crap up. Let's clean it up before the bears get here, because it was like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. They went out there. Everything was fine. Massive.
It's interesting that they was able to do it across a multiple person platform, because we all know that infrasound it affects different people differently. So that even adds another conundrum to the fact.
Yeah. So to your point, Gary, I mean, it's possible. I've had it happen to myself and my wife, and it was infrasound. We were both in the same spot. I was seeing one thing, and she was looking right at this thing I thought I was seeing, and she was not seeing what I was seeing, but we were like 2 feet away.
Wow.
And it's a really cool story. But the point is, you can be made, and maybe it's your physiology. Maybe they take the person who needs to be confused or jacked with the most and amp him up and amp the other person down, but that story that Ron told, and if you want, I can tell you what happened to my wife and I.
Sure. Yeah,
but
absolutely.
It's a classic example. And if it's in the book, if I write this book, it's going to be in there. But I have an area, a research area, South Missouri, And I saw a Sasquatch there leading an expedition. It was probably about 2014. And so that area has always been creepy. Almost every time I go there, something happens or I sense or feel something. So I told my wife, who mostly believes that I believe, but she's seen enough stuff laying around the office here. She's going, okay, there must be something going on here because that is weird and that is weird. So she's on board. But I said, I'm going to take you somewhere. I'm going to show you what's going on. So I took her to this spot, and it's a conservation area. You have to park at the top of this trail. It used to be an old fire trail, and there's a metal gate there. You can't drive down there. You wouldn't want to, you couldn't make it. It's too sharp and ragged, and it's a real steep trip down. It's about 100 yards from where we parked all the way down. So, and you always get the creepy feeling when you're there. You just get something, something's off because this is their area. So we're walking down about halfway there. She's starting to get nervous and like, I don't like this place. I got to get out of here. Something's weird. Let's just go. I said, no. I want to take you down to the bottom here because this is where it's really weird, And so I shined my light up to where we had parked because and I said, we're safe. The car's right. Well, the car was gone. And so then I looked, for some reason, I looked down at the bottom of this ravine that we were walking down, and there was my taillights. My SUV was down at the bottom. And then I looked back up and they were gone. My car was not there. I looked back down and there was my car. I could see the car because of the taillights were glowing with my lamp. And so by then, and we're standing right there, I said, how do our car get down there? She looks down there where I'm seeing the car. She goes, our car's not there. It's back up there. And I shine my light up there. I said, no, it's not there. Look, it's not there. And she's seeing it and I'm not.
Wow.
And so by then we're just kind of going back and forth. And then the third time I looked back up to where the car was, there it was. I looked back to where I knew I was seeing it and it was not there. And it couldn't have gotten there anyway. It's like driving down a horrible ravine with just rocks and jagged. There's no way. That's why they had a thing blocking it. So we're both standing there side by side. She's freaking out. She's getting the creepy infrasound vibe. And I am seeing something that obviously can't happen. And it's not like I'm seeing something that doesn't exist. I was seeing something that existed, my car, but it just wasn't where I was not seeing it where I knew it should be. It was somewhere else. They were throwing me off. And it freaked her out more. And so we got out of there. I was totally confused. So there's two people being affected by the same force differently.
Wow. Yeah. That is amazing. You know, and I had one of those bells go off, Gary, like we always talk about, what would that kind of maybe explain some of the phenomena that's going on with the missing 411? And can they do that to people and turn them around and make them go the wrong way, like lure them in? I just, man.
I actually just had that discussion just the other night with some very creditable survivalists, about how infrasound, could cause that. And that would also cause them, hyperthermia will make you feel like that you're hot and make you take your clothes off. Mm-hmm. But you think so erratically. I don't think you would fold your clothes up neatly and put them next to the trail. One of the guys said that maybe the infrasound was causing, them to think we're swimming or something, and they would take their clothes and put them next to a trail. And it's interesting that and it's
still hiking through 12 miles of how many inches of snow is it in Montana?
A lot.
It still blows
a lot.
And many animals use infrasound. Lions, tigers, elephants.
Absolutely.
It's a universal thing, and it's above and below the range of human hearing. And the only way to the infrasound, if you are at the 18.9 hertz, that can cause hallucinations. That's the only frequency that will cause you to hallucinate or see things or hear things that are not there, because it jacks with you. And that's the frequency they use to fight crowds and riots. And over there in Europe, you know, they use those sound cannons to disperse big riots.
Hypertensive audio alerts. Yep.
Yeah, but it is just crazy bizarre. And it was a classic example of there's the two of us and we're both seeing something entirely different. We're both standing right there and both being affected with the same, I'll say, creature was zapping us, or creatures.
Again, you had two separate responses to that stimulus, though.
Yeah.
Where
totally bizarre.
Where with Ron and his team, it was all four having the same response.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to manipulate that would be far more advanced than anything that we've got going on. You know,
ain't no dumb ape.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, Ron's four guys, you know, there was four men, maybe my wife being a female, me and me a man, maybe that had something to do with the different effect. Could be just the way of the physiology of the way your brain and you know, consciousness reacts to a stimuli. And so, but it was just, it was just a slap in the face. I'm going, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? I mean, what, just good Lord. Cause it just, you know, came to me about, you know, about 7-8 months ago. And I've been sitting on that event for years. And I just went, oh, wait a minute. You know, I started reading and I'm going, oh my gosh, that's what it was. So,
Yeah.
you know, there's something there, you know, and whether it's a reactionary thing or something they can do on purpose to disable you, which I think they can, because I think they use it for knocking down deer. You see deer, you get reports, a lot of deer just running around, you know, the forest in a clearing, and they're just bing, 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 like a pinball machine. They don't know where they're going. They're totally confused. Well, that's because they're getting zapped, you know, and they're getting chased into one area. Well, I'm not going to go there. I know what's over there. Well, I go over here. Well, I can't go over there because there's a Sasquatch over here, and they're all confused. Boom, they're gone. They're dinner, you know, I mean.
Makes sense.
You know, some of the oldest writings of the professional British and, you know, early hunters in India talk about being frozen in fear from the tiger.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always put in with that roar, that low roar. And I always wondered, once I heard about tigers using infrasound, I wonder if that's not part of what it is.
Yeah, well, they can, I forget what animal it is. It may be the tiger. It may be
Sumatran tigers.
They can go lower.
Yes.
To where we can't hear it.
Yeah.
Our body reacts to it, but we cannot hear it. We just don't know why we're suddenly hallucinating or going crazy or want to lay down and go to sleep, you know.
And think of it this way. Nate's kind of the one that you know, we was talking the other night and it got me thinking about that. A tiger on average chest, I have a friend that his wife works with tigers on a regular basis. And I said, what's the average circumference of a chest of a tiger? And she goes about 48 to 54 inches, you know, so, you know, they're not much broader than me. I use the size 58 jacket, you know, but you take something, the thing that I seen had shoulders 5 feet across. So his chest is probably 7 foot in circumference. Oh, so if a tiger can do that, what can these guys do?
Mm-hmm.
No kidding.
So I think we just solved that problem. I mean, you know, Ron is far more well spoken about, you know, the quantum aspects, but you know, I experienced it, he experienced it, and you got four guys all hearing the same thing, and you go out there and there's nothing has happened. What the heck could that be other than something non-physical influencing you? You know, I mean, it was group hypnosis. It was, we hypnotized them all.
But once again, though, we are backing that with scientific theory. It's not a complete spirit. It is spiritual. Don't take me wrong. But we're backing it with a scientific stimulus or a metaphysical stimulus. So to me, that's not, for the lack of better terms, woo. That's scientific.
Yeah, scientific. Well, you know, God, I lost my train of thought. Quantum physics. It is provable by math, and this was in Ron's book. I really liked it. But it is a theory provable by math. To disprove it, it has to be disproven with math, and so you can't disprove it with math, it can't be disproven. This is scientific people talking. That's not me talking, but this is, it is a scientific thing. It's theory, and it cannot be disproved unless you use math.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a wife that's a quantum junkie, so I'm very familiar.
Selling drum.
I'm sorry, what?
What do you say, Jeremiah?
I thought I heard someone else. No, I said I have a wife that's a quantum physics junkie, so I'm very, very, very familiar with that. I hear it all the time.
Yeah,
it's interesting. It is, and there's no two ways around it. It's there.
yeah, and science is not our friend because there's nothing in it for them.
Right.
They don't believe this, and so we are putting all our eggs and our hopes in the hands of science, and they could really give a darn if this is proven. They don't believe it, and so we're barking up the wrong tree. As far as science is going to help us out. Science isn't going to help us out. They're got nice cussy professorships and their tenures and nice salary. What do they? What am I to go out on a limb and you say it. You do it. I'm fine over here. I got 3 years before I retire. I ain't gonna say anything about that. You go ahead.
How many disciplines of science have changed over the years? Changed the way they worded things and put things.
Yeah,
a lot. You have to. Science
is never settled, right, Carter?
No,
no.
It's really
it evolves. It evolves.
It evolves.
Evolving.
It evolves.
Like everything we know about the universe, and and the Hubble telescope, and all the things that have expanded our knowledge. Now we're on Mars with and building colonies and on the moon and all that. So that was impossible 100 years ago. So look what it is. So you have to keep broadening your horizons. They're so adamant that this isn't a real thing. That's the smoke and the fire, because if they're going to the trouble of denying it to such a degree, we're on to something,
Yeah, exactly. We're over the target. What are they hiding?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where you come in there, Nate. You gotta strafe them. You gotta dive bomb them. Get some information out of them.
No kidding. Hey, I'm a peaceful guy.
Yeah, I am too.
Man peace. You are a man peace, that's for sure.
Carter, I'd like to ask you, I don't know if we're jumping in too early, but you have a habituation site or a couple of them, and one that you've spent a lot of time at. What's some of the activity you're getting there? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the one that is producing the most right now, and gifting. There's gifting of rocks, fruits, apples, back and forth, mirrors. I've sat on the front porch with these people and exchanged whoops and hollers with the Sasquatch across the road. It's kind of funny because this stuff happens to him weekly. And in fact, I just talked to the wife about a week ago, and what they typically do is tell me, well, we hadn't been doing much because of COVID. We, went to town, got a haircut, went to Walmart, and Bobby saw a Sasquatch yesterday morning. They don't even think about it. It happens all the time. And it's just, and I don't even have to pry. And we just start talking about stuff. And they go, oh, yeah, did I tell you about? So this has been going on for 10, 12 years on their property. They've been there longer than that. But she couldn't convince the husband anything was going on because he worked nights. So he was gone at night when all this stuff was going on. He'd come home, 4 o'clock in the morning. Oh, you wouldn't believe what happened to the Sasquatch. And he's going, what? You're crazy. There's nothing going on. I mean, what are you talking about? I don't see nothing, So this went on for a long, long time. They almost got divorced over it, a couple of times because, they were getting hand slaps on the side of the house. Seeing orbs, craft, the Sasquatch. And finally, one day, the husband, after he retired, was walking the dog, and it's a ritual every morning about 7 o'clock. They head to the gate, and walk the dog back. Well, every now and then, a Sasquatch, the alpha male, will make a noise, and you'll look over there, and it will step out from behind a tree and show himself. Then he'll hide back. It's just a way of saying hello. Well, this happens often, not a big deal. But one morning, they were walking. He was walking the dog. The alpha male snapped a twig or stepped on something. He always gets his attention by a little twig snap or something. And so he stepped out one side of the tree. And when he was looking over there on the other side of the tree, the mother and a baby, and she was holding the baby.
Wow.
And they were introducing him to their family. I mean, that's just what it is. That's what it was, and the wife had seen them later after this happened. She saw them back behind the house near a spring. It's back there. So it's ongoing, in the book. I don't know if you had time to read it, but their mother lived with them, and she lived on a trailer on their property so she could have her, autonomy, be self-sufficient and come over for dinner, all that kind of stuff. Her dog died. And so they buried the dog, and on a year to the day of the dog's death, they went out and decorated the grave with flowers. They put little plastic flowers all around it and, evenly spaced. And the next morning they came outside, all the flowers were pulled out of the ground and they were laying next to the hole where they had been put. And, in my world, I'm thinking, okay, well, Sasquatch bury their dead probably, but they don't mark the grave. And they probably thought that this woman's dog, they didn't want that dog to be dug up. And so they unmarked the grave.
Yeah.
We all came to the same conclusion almost the same time, when they saw it. Now, the funny thing is that a year or so before the dog died, there was a pack of wild dogs. They live out in the middle of nowhere. So there's pack of wild dogs out in the countries, it happens a lot. They're just, it's 4 or 5 of them. They come around and they were trying to attack their dog. There's a big fence, but they're trying to attack the dog. They were snarling and yelling and growling at the dog, wanting to get at it. And she heard the mother, heard a voice talking some kind of gibberish loudly. And the dogs not only stopped, they never came back there again. So they were protecting her dog, who they know she loved. It was her only companion. Then a year later, the dog dies. A year after that, to the date of the anniversary of the death, they plant the flowers. The next morning, the flowers are pulled up. You got to take the context of the situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They are thinking, feeling, sentient beings. They are attracted to our family units. They're fascinated with women and children, especially, the life givers, the nurturers, and the children. They have kids. They have family units. They got little kids being a little shit every now and then, that stealing stuff or getting in trouble or walking in front of a trail cam, you dummy, getting your handprint taken, whatever you're doing. But they interact with their family like we do with ours to a degree. And I think they're fascinated. That's why they bonded with her mother and the dog, which they saved by running off. And those dogs never, ever came back to that house ever again. And they were always around there because, there's a road goes in. They just kind of go up and down the road, getting into garbage cans and stuff like that. But they got regular stuff going on, I've had a couple of mirrors taken. We gift with rocks and apples and stuff. I put a mirror on the front porch. I put a rock on the front porch. They were throwing rocks when they first moved in. They were throwing rocks up on the metal roof. They have a metal roof, so I think they enjoyed the sound because they throw a big rock up there, boom, bop, 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 that loud sound that a big rock will make rolling down a metal roof. I think they enjoyed that sound. But the rocks ended up in his yard, and the husband is very meticulous. That front yard, even though it's out in the middle of nowhere, it's like a putting green. It's immaculate. He hates rocks or anything like that in his yard because it's manicured. So I took a rock and put it on the front porch, and about 2 or 3 days after I left, there was a flat rock placed right next to it. It was a gift. Maybe it was a making peace about, throwing rocks on the house and trash it, because he knew they weren't happy with it. So they got a lot of stuff going. It's incredible. I've got a footprint out there. I got a couple of footprints. I've got photos of handprints in the book that you've got. There should be a picture of a really greasy handprint that was on a motorcycle. There was a couple of greasy handprints on the mom's mobile home she was living in before they got rid of that. So it's been 10 years, closer to 20, if you count when the wife started getting all this stuff, because the husband was away. But it's a weekly or monthly thing. Anytime I go out there, we just sit on the front porch, and you can hear them walking up, plopping themselves down. You hear this really heavy boom, 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 bipedal walking, and then you hear them, they're sitting down for the big show with the human. So they're throwing little twigs and sticks, and I'm doing a whoop, and I get a whoop call back, and knocks. It's entertainment for everybody.
Oh yeah,
them and us.
That sounds amazing. Is that year round? Are they there all year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got a couple of caves that are on properties that border theirs. They're not sure if they use the caves. I have not been to the caves because they don't belong, they're not on the property, and they're not really friends with that guy for whatever reason. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it goes on all the time. Orbs, hand slaps on the back of the house where the daughter's bedroom is. Voices, and I've heard some of those voices here at my house. So I don't know if I'm bringing that stuff home with me or not. That's just something I've just, Mike Patterson's got crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that too, as leading out of what you just talked about, because we've been talking about that on our last two shows. So that'd be neat to hear about, what's happening at your place.
Well, let me see. I've made a note. And this has been since October 2019. Now, the only thing I'm saying in my office here, this used to be my wife's daughter's bedroom, and every now and then she would hear the hangers rattling in the closet. Of course, there's nothing here. We didn't have any cats or dogs, and there was something in there opening and closing the door and rattling the hangers. Other than that, there hadn't been anything weird at our house until I got involved with some stuff going on in Illinois. My wife saw a blue orb in the bedroom. Now, this was happening when I was at my habituation people down in South Missouri. I was 300 miles away. She saw a blue orb. At the time I was with them, they had saw a green yellowish orb in their house. Now, my wife saw a blue orb. It was kind of doing these little zigzag patterns in the bedroom. And then she saw it go by, and it flew in front of her. And then she could also see it in our dresser mirror. So she was looking at it, and then the reflection of it. So it was not like a passing car or some anomaly. It was like it was there. She saw it. And it was doing all this stuff, and it took a little wide turn and went into our bathroom, disappeared. My wife has had her pillow yanked out from under her head while she's asleep. I have had what feels like 5 or 6 little hands on each of my legs, slowly pushing themselves under my legs, like kind of working their fingers this way and kind of getting under me and starting to pull me off my side of the bed. We've heard voices. We are here. It's okay. We felt things walking across the bed. Now, we have cats, but they are not allowed in our bedroom. So we thought, well, maybe it's our dead cat who came back and was visiting us. You hear about that stuff. We can feel things walking across the pillow. We feel them walking across our chest, walking across our feet. The Alexa and my wife's phone started communicating. I was standing there, and they just started doing this electronic sound, like like computer sounds, like electronic, pulsing, going back and forth. They were communicating. And I'm sitting there going, where's that? You know, and everybody has an Alexa, so I guess they can kind of go off every now and then. I don't know if you guys have them or use them. I don't like them personally. My wife loves them. Let's see if I'm missing anything together. Oh, this was just about 2 weeks ago. I went into the bathroom to take a leak, my morning ritual, 2:00. And I went in there, and we have a regular light switch. We have a dimmer. So we always hit the dimmer because it's a lower light. You don't have to do all that when you're going into the bathroom. And I have a urinal in my bathroom. So I hit the dimmer and just turned it up.
Lucky man.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't like sleeping on the sofa, and I don't like putting the seat down. So I just, let's just put a urinal in there. We had trouble. Anyway,
fair enough.
I'm peeing, and all of a sudden, the light goes out. Now, it doesn't like go out. It like dims to out. And I'm laying there with my hand on the wall, holding myself up while I'm peeing. I'm peeing in the dark. How did that happen? What's going on? And so I got done, flushed, and walked back through the bathroom, and I hit the dimmer, and it was turned all the way down. So it's not like somebody pushed the button. I turned it and it was still on. So something, somehow, it could have been a glitch. You know, I got to give that props, but it was turned. It went from halfway on to all the way down. And then when I pushed it, it didn't do anything, because when I pushed it, it turned it off. So it was already still on. I just didn't know. And I pushed it again. Something had dimmed the light.
Wow.
The other night, what was this? Oh yeah, we're watching TV. The TV goes from regular cable to a regular TV channel. It just switches. Now that can happen. I mentioned it to a few people that say, well, that happens every now and then. You know, Netflix or something like that will switch from one thing and it'll just disconnect, and you go back to what you were watching before. Okay. Well, my wife said, is there somebody here? Somebody here? Can you say something? Can you move something? Can you turn a light on, off, do something? And I'm looking one direction, and she's looking over there. She goes, did you see that? I said, what? The light flickered right next to the desk or table she was sitting at in our living room. So just stuff like that, you know, and it's out of the ordinary, you know, and, you know, I believe in paranormal stuff, of course, obviously I do. But in the last year, this has all happened in about a year and a half, since October of 2019. It's now, February 2021. So a year and a half-ish. It's just kind of odd. And I was involved in a very heavy investigation out of state. And it was happening at the same time that she was seeing the orb. I was visiting my people. Then I went across the state line to Illinois, and that orb she saw and the orb they saw, that happened at the same time. And I'm the only common denominator. You know, she's married to me, and these people, my witnesses, they had this stuff happen often. So
I would go as far to say that you're tagged.
I'm tagged. Now, my people are very, very devout Christians. They're very, very religious. And she tells me that when something is touching you, that it's demonic. That, and I don't feel that. I don't sense it. I didn't get, I wasn't, and I've been in demonic situations.
Yeah.
Trust me, a long time.
Once again, relying on that spiritual training, that, you know, that religious background. No.
Yeah. And I can't argue with them, but that's her thing with the touching. It says, you know, that's a demonic spirits that when they're touching you, because
would you put the other, I mean, in your personal, I throw religion aside, would you put your personal analytical mind, everything that's happened to you over your years of experience, would you put the other phenomena with the Sasquatch phenomena? Can you see a correlation there?
I'm getting there. I think I'm getting there. You know, I've talked to Mike Patterson. He's got some bizarre stuff going on. It's the same type stuff.
I interviewed Mike, and he does.
Yes.
He's got stuff that's off the charts going on, but I think this is a more maybe benign force. If it's Sasquatch related, it's more of a peaceful, kind of laid back. And this is one that's from an habituation site where they're interacting with the family pretty much at will, and it's a peaceful coexistence. They're glad that they're there. They're enjoying it. They're learning things about themselves and their beliefs. And the Squatches are obviously comfortable there. They've got all the food, water, the habitat they need to have a peaceful life without any threat of hunting, because nobody goes on their property. Nobody hunts except him. And it's just, deer and that's it. So I think if you want to address it like it's a good Squatch or a bad Squatch, I think I got maybe one of the good, more peaceful guys. I think, I think the Sasquatch beings are just like humans. You've got really cool guys. You got some really hostile, angry ones. You've got stupid ones. You got smart ones. You got elders who maybe have power and dominion over the rest in the clans or whatever. So, I mean, it could be that that's just what I got. Maybe it's ramping up and I just don't know what's in store for me in the next 6 months. I don't know. But it's all peaceful. I've never felt threatened or scared or by any of this. I'm going, that is cool, because it's cool. Someone's communicating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that it could be like separate entities that maybe just tied in with the Sasquatch phenomenon, or do you feel that it's actually directly correlative? You may be a stimulus for maybe a different what's the word I'm looking for? Different
Entity?
Or do you think it's actually the Sasquatch themselves?
I don't know, because this is still happening as we're speaking. It's an ongoing thing. I mean, the thing with the TV channel, this was just like last week. The thing with the light dimming in the bathroom was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I mean, it's like my Sasquatch habituation folks. The stuff happens so often that I had to start writing it down, because I know it, I accept it, I take it for, I'm not sure what it is, but I'm not afraid of it. And it seems to have some correlation, because the thing I've got going on in this other area has happened in the last year and a half, and all of this stuff is starting to pile up in the last year and a half. So I'm finding a correlation with that, and it's only because it's Sasquatch related. It has nothing to do with anything else that I'm aware of.
Okay, I got one more, and I swear I'll hush.
Oh, don't hush. It's cool.
Please don't let me offend you with this, but I have a very a serious question on this. Do you, in your experience, your personal experience over the years, do you feel that these, for lack of better terms, entity, I like to say target species, do you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, believe that they're Sasquatch? Or is there a possibility that it could be some other entity representing itself as such?
Right now, I believe it's Sasquatch related. The only thing that's crept into my mind was the religious aspect from my habituation folks that said it's demonic if they're touching you. Mm-hmm. They're trying to manipulate you physically. That's the only part that gives me pause for a split second, but I don't get that sense of anything evil. I get, and of course, they say, well, they can
represent themselves
in many ways, but I think it's all related to what happened to me in Illinois, and what happened again in Illinois. And, when I go to Illinois, I stop and see them. I hang out with them for a day, then I go there. So it's all Sasquatch related.
The reason I ask that is because you are very experienced. We all know that. You've been doing this for years. And have you seen any outside stimulus? Has this been consistent throughout your years of dealing with Sasquatch, or has it just started happening with that specific bunch?
It has started happening in the last, since October of 2019. So, and they have been, I knew them my habituation folks, I've got 4 properties that I kind of monitor, but they're the most prolific and they're the most open and invitational. It all has started ramping up in the last year and a half. So, I mean, and it's all Sasquatch. I don't investigate any kind of UFOs or paranormal stuff, you know.
So you did have a prior experience or prior experiences, not experiences, but interaction with that group before this stuff was happening. So it's not a new phenomena with a new group. It's just a new phenomena with an existing group that you've been interacting.
Yeah. And I think the catalyst is really, well, I'm torn. I think it's really 50-50, my situation in Illinois and my habituation folks. And I have 2 habituation folks that are right there on the border of Missouri and Illinois. So I can go see one and go see the other, go see one, then the other, then head over to Illinois. You know, in Illinois, Nate, I sent you that Dogman photo.
Yep. That was something else. Yeah.
When did that happen in all this?
That happened same time, 2019. I led an expedition in Illinois for BFRO in 2019, October. They had it on the books and then they took it off because whoever was going to do it couldn't do it, family problems, sick, whatever. So they couldn't find anybody to do it. So they took it off the books. They took it off the main site. Well, a couple of people called them, hey, we really want to do this. Can you find somebody else? And so they put it back on the books. And I was going, gosh, you know, well, it's out there where they live. Oh, what the heck? So I said, I'll do it. Well, so that's when I met the guy that shared the photo that I gave to you.
Okay.
And it is a photo of a photo.
Dogman. That was the Dogman photo.
Well, it certainly looks like one. I mean, Nathan, I will put words in his mouth. What does it look like?
It sure does. To me, it's real obvious. It's kind of a cloudy, almost like a ghost-like figure, but it's the side profile of it. When you see it, you think Dogman immediately.
Okay.
You know,
I have to ask, and please, like I said, don't get offended if I ask a hard question. But where in the timeline of having all that stuff happen at your house did this happen? This stimulus happen?
It happened during my scouting for the 2019 expedition.
So the Dogman investigation was actually prior to the stuff happening at your house.
Well, it wasn't an investigation. We were actually investigating a Sasquatch sighting, and it turned into, oh, honey, do you want to show him that picture of whatever that is? His wife. Yeah. And so he pulls out, and the story with it is that something was tearing up a hickory tree in the backyard. And it was, for some reason, it was just assaulting this tree as claw marks and peeling bark and pulling branches. It was just a weird thing. You really couldn't figure it out. And so one night, the daughter was hearing this. The daughter lived at home with them at the time. And the daughter saw it. She was inside. She saw it, looked out a window. So she ran outside and she had a camera. They had a strap on it. And she held up the camera to take this picture, and the creature disappeared. And so she was standing there, and then it reappeared. Mm-hmm. When it reappeared, it got tangled up in her camera strap. This is the story I got. And it did something, and she jerked back, and she took the picture. Well, it is a pretty good picture of something. It is, and she said it was morphing back into a physical form. It was.
Is this the same people as this? Is the habitualized Sasquatch?
No. Somebody I never met him before.
Somebody else, never met him before.
Yeah, he was a local, and we were kind of gathering some data, looking for. Actually, what I do when I scout is I kind of look around for really good areas, something that feels really creepy and weird.
Yeah.
And if I, go talk to a couple of locals, well, go down there. Old Bobby's done seen Sasquatch there for 30 years on his property. So you go talk to people and find a place.
Do you still have possession of the picture?
Yeah. It's
in your house.
Yeah. It's a photo of a photo. Do you have it?
It does. It doesn't. It
I
don't matter.
no, Carter. I
Jeremiah,
still
you know where I'm
haven't-
going with this.
I haven't shared
Yeah.
it because I obviously told you I wouldn't. But if you want, I can show it to these guys. I would never post it or anything. Obviously,
Yeah,
it's up
show
to
it
you.
to him. I
I'll be
promised the
honest with
guy
you.
I wouldn't. It's a picture. So what happened was,
Gentlemen, I'll be honest with you. I don't want to see it. I
oh,
don't want
it's
any contact with it. No.
well, that's up to you. That's your choice.
Yeah,
But anyway,
don't want
it
any
does
contact
exist.
with it. I don't want it showing on my computers because that I don't want to get into that right now. We'll
I
talk
get
about
you. I get. I understand. So you're Buddhist, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So I understand. I understand where you're.
But not only that, I also specialize in demon phenomena. I've got I
Well,
specialize
I'd
in
really
demon.
like you to see it sometime and tell me what you think. But it's a picture of a picture. So finish the story. So they got the photo developed, and she threw the camera away. She said, "I don't want anything to do with it." She was totally free, and she moved out, and she was I don't forget 18, 19 at the time. Anyway, she moved out, and so he doesn't have a negative or a chip. So all he has is a photo. So I had to set the photo in my vehicle and take a picture. So all I have is a picture of a picture.
Yeah, but still the representation of the capture. Yeah,
It's pretty good. I mean, Nate could show it to the rest of the guys, and I trust it.
It's pretty compelling. Yeah.
Huh?
I said it's pretty compelling. It's kind of it really. You don't have to be told that it might be a dog man to think that. It definitely looks like a canine, upright canine, figure.
Yeah,
no doubt.
I have to ask one more time and just making sure. So the other strange phenomenon did not happen prior to this situation. The stuff at your house.
No.
So
it all started when I went and did because I got there about 4 days ahead of time. So me and my Illinois partner, I got a guy I work with in Illinois. I have a guy I work with here in Missouri.
It all happened during that time frame, that 5 day time.
It happened during the scouting. And we just
you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
One of the locals took me over there.
And said, you was on the property. You was on the property when you took that picture.
Yeah.
Where it happened.
Yeah.
So right where the
I was standing by the tree. I've got pictures of the tree that was being torn up.
Yep.
And so
I don't mean to interrupt your story. Go ahead.
You're good. But it's during that October 2019 to present day is when all the weirdness has started to proliferate. And I could write a couple of things off. Well, the Alexa, they hear anything with X in it and they start talking. Well, you have to really say, Alexa, do this, or Alexa, what time is it, whatever. You have to. And so they just start talking out of nowhere. So all this stuff has been compartmentalized into about 1.5 years time, up until just last week when the TV switched channels for no reason. So, I mean, but it started with that expedition. And I can't blame it on anything else. I mean, I'm trying to think of, things that, and I did stop and see my habituation people either on the way there or from. I think it was on the way there because I had time to kill because I was scouting by myself for a day. But anyway, in the last 1.5 years. And so, the dog man thing, the Sasquatch could be protecting me from the dog. You wanted me to say so you didn't have to, right?
Don't get me started. There's the stimulus for this. You've been dealing with the Sasquatch prior to that for years. But that one incident where you captured the picture of a supposed dog man, dog man falls under a whole different category.
Yeah.
If it is a demonic entity dog man, it will follow you home. And you having that picture, you're already tagged. You was there. So you took a picture of that picture. The consciousness of that entity has followed you home. And I guarantee you, and it sounds crazy, if you want it to stop, and it's just the idea, take the picture, anoint it using Christian, Buddhist, any positive energy, and get rid of the picture, and the stuff would stop. I seriously think that your extra stuff is it's always correlative to Sasquatch, but I think it's more tied into that dogman situation than it is the Sasquatch situation. And with you saying the Sasquatch might be protecting you from them, that very well could be true.
Well, that's why, I've heard, the voice, and my wife has heard it too. We're here. It's okay. My habituation people have heard that voice, and they have nothing to do. They've never seen that photo. They don't even know about it, because I know they're very religious. And so I don't even bring that kind of stuff up. It's just no need. It's not in their
Gary, it's really interesting that you said that, what you just said, because, I follow Scott Carpenter quite a bit, and he's talked about how these things have followed home, and he's had contact with Dogman also.
Yes, he has. Scott is, I sent him a message the other day myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you look throughout, how would you say, multiple reports, you see a consistency build. Me and Jeremiah's been doing this together for a while, and we not only, especially me and Jeremiah's wife, because we're both into demons. We're I don't want to get too deep in it, but we're both what they call children of the light. We're in our training, we kind of
warriors.
Yeah.
Warriors for the light.
Yeah. And we see these patterns build up, and we see these things happen. And as soon as you said the picture being taken and the dogman entity, because Sasquatch, I have to be very careful. I don't believe that Sasquatch is demonic. I believe that there are demonic entities that represent themselves as Sasquatch or as anything else, or I believe that it can be possessed. I don't think Sasquatch is evil. I believe
they can possess anything they want, attach to anything they want. I can tell you a story,
brother. I want to hear.
I thought you were finished, bud.
I don't think you was talking about, Nate, you was talking about, Scott. I know you was fixing to say something else right behind him. I didn't mean to get on a rant.
Go ahead. So, I apologize.
You was talking about Scott Carpenter having the.
Oh yeah, no, that was really my point. I just when you mentioned that connection to Dogman, I remembered that Scott's had some connections to that.
Well, even Ron. Ron Moorhead.
Yeah.
When they went down, I can't think of the fella's name. It's not Scott Nelson. Scott Nelson was involved in the linguist side of it. But with the Paracas skulls, when they went down and got in contact with the Paracas skulls, all kinds of crazy stuff was happening to them.
The Don Monroe,
thank you. Yeah. And, me being, my wife being from Peru, I actually went to Machu Picchu, and we actually went and kind of played around in the Valley of the Gods and was looking where they found some of the Paracas skulls. And that's taboo area for those Aztec people, the Aztec and Inca people. And those areas, you just step into it and it's weird. It's like a static charge.
Electric.
But, I honestly think, in my personal and somewhat professional opinion, I think that the stimulus from the Dogman situation is what's followed you home, and you verified it even more when your habituation people are hearing the voice saying, "We're here, we're watching," because we hear that a lot from positive influence, for lack of a better term. Some people say it's different tribes or different breeds of Sasquatch, some
clans or families or whatever.
Yeah.
And in no way have I felt threatened or afraid by either creature or being, and I don't get that sense. Maybe it's just not time yet. Maybe I'm gonna get it.
Very well could be, because demonics have been known to be real passive for the first, but now that you're acknowledging it, it will start escalating a little bit. It'll escalate a little bit as you acknowledge it, and then it'll feed off of that, and then it'll just continue on. It could take years. They fall under a different timeline than we do.
Well, good thing I'm old, because I'll be dead in a couple years. So.
I tell you what,
bring it.
I've got an acquaintance right there real close to you that's big into Sasquatch, and they Jeremiah knows exactly who I'm talking about, Shane and Randy with 400 Ozark Mountain Sasquatch. If you could get in with them, you would have a blast. They're in southern Missouri, also habitualized. Once again, that's the fourth report I've heard of a habitualized Sasquatch in Missouri. That's.
Oh, well, they may be, there's probably more,
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that just aren't coming forward because they want to enjoy what they have. They don't want to share it with anybody, because maybe they are enjoying the interaction and gaining the knowledge, and maybe they just want to enjoy it, and bringing other people into it or telling other people about it is just going to ruin it, make them and scare them off and run them off. So I think there's a lot of that stuff going on. We just don't hear about it, and that's part of my issue with, trying to nurture the witnesses and respect all the witnesses, because they are going through some things that are monumental in their life, life altering, life changing things. And, we need to pay attention to these people. We need to respect them and nurture their events and look into them, no matter what your belief is, because when you talk to some of these people and they're describing what they're going through, and I've met probably half of my witnesses that I've had reports published. I've probably met half of them because I have the luxury of, working out of my house. I can just pop in my car and go drive down there. Wife's very understanding. She's cool. She's actually glad to get rid of me, actually, probably, but I get to meet these people. You look them in the eye and you can just see it on their face that they are going through some stuff. They're going through some stuff when they first saw it, and they're sitting on it 10, 20, 30, 40 years. They're sitting on it before they finally come forward. They've been ostracized and ridiculed by their friends, family, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever. And the relief that they have when they share these events is just monumental, and they're so thankful for it, and we need to nurture these witnesses as best we can, because they got some keys to things, like this guy that sent me this hand photo just out of nowhere. Been sitting on it a while, been sitting on the stuff going on.
It's a big weight. It's a big weight off your chest, and it's, when you talk about it, it feels much better, in my opinion.
Yeah, because they're talking to somebody who believes and understands them, and I'm not sitting there going, "Are you sure, buddy? Did you maybe just see something? Did you think you saw an orb? Did you think you saw a UFO? I mean, that couldn't really happen. I mean, no, you got to listen to them like they're telling you the truth, and weigh it out later, because it's their reality. It happened to them. Absolutely. You might never, ever in a million years think that would ever happen to you, but it happened to them. You're talking to somebody that had an event of a lifetime. And who am I to sit there and go, well, that's pretty good, but you lost me when you said you saw an orb, or you heard mind speak, or went behind a tree and never came out the other side. I mean, and there are investigators that do that. They just poo-poo.
And you don't know how you're affecting them for the rest of their life, whether
you're scoffing at them, like you're doing the same thing to them that people very close to them are doing. They're scoffing, laughing, ridiculing. I just had a witness. I've been talking to him because one of my reports was sanitized of many, and BFRO, and he was upset, and he lost his girlfriend over it. And this was just maybe a year ago. He lost his girlfriend and a buddy over it because he told them what happened and what was bothering him. And the girlfriend's like, really? You believe that? They were done. That was it. So
it's sad.
These people are traumatized, and they got a lot of stuff going on, and you can't just thumb your nose at them. You can't do that. You can't do it.
I agree 100%, Carter, on that. Yeah, that's very well said.
Yep. Well, thank you. But it's true. I mean, it's such a sad thing, and they're telling us things that you wouldn't have believed or even listened to maybe 5-6 years ago. But now it's like kind of commonplace. And you go, holy crap. Okay, there's something. Oh, wow, that too. You too. I mean, all of a sudden, it's just, the gates are open, and you just, like I said, we talked about this earlier. You just got to consider all this stuff. You may not use half of it later.
We can learn so much from these people too, the experiencers. We really
they're having experiences we may never have.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
And why is that? Maybe because we're investigators. We've got electronic gear dripping from us.
Yeah.
They're just, Bob and Mary, sitting, 300 acres out in the middle of nowhere, living their life, and they're having the time of their life interacting with these creatures that no one believed that exists.
So true. Yeah.
It's such an awesome thing, you know. So
You, I don't know if you had heard him say it, but you know, Ron Moorhead, I think it was last year he was speaking, and he said something about hopefully y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but he said something about a timeline or an acceleration of activity. Do y'all remember him saying something about that?
at his site, or just in his life, or
with everything, with the phenomenon in general?
Oh yeah, no, I think it's coming to a head.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's coming to a head. We got more people coming forward and telling us things, and they're seeking out the right people to tell these things to. So, you know, I think it's technology. You know, there's more people with phones and cameras and mics and drones and thermal gear out in the woods looking for these things and looking for signs, you know, structures. Well, all you got to do is just look around for structures, and you're going to find a place where they live and eat and breed and have their families. And so there's so much going on. And if you just get out there and do it, you know, I think technology and DNA are going to be the two things that bust it, you know, because we have incredible gear, and Scott and other people's work with the DNA projects are just off the charts. And you can only hide that for so long. You can only dispute it for so long until you finally have to go, okay, well, let's say a female mother and an unknown hominid father. No matter how you look at it, that's how it comes up. Okay, well, we got half the smoking gun. What's the other one? You know, so that's going to catch up to science. You know, and that's the same thing with UFOs. I think, you know, when the UFO, they finally admitted that was going on here late last year, middle of last year, that we're going to get so close. They're going to go, okay, let's throw them a bone. Let's give them something. You know, Patterson give them film. That's real. Okay, well, that's old news. Give us something else. Give us the DNA. Give us the paranormal, the quantum physics, the quantum math. Give us that stuff. Why did Ron Moorhead and his three buddies hear total destruction of their campsite? They walked out and there was nothing. It was like they listening to bombs going off. You go out there and there's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
What else is that?
Which brings us back to the whole loop, back to the paranormal side of it, because that's classic poltergeist behavior.
Yeah.
Is it not? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know, I think Carter said something real prolific right there when they came out and announced the Vatican.
Yes.
And announced extraterrestrial. And what did the regular news do? Sweep it under the rug for politics. But the Vatican come out. The Pope came out.
They're probably sitting on more data than next to the government. They've got more on UFOs and extraterrestrial and life going back tens of thousands of years than we'll ever see.
You know, they own two of the most prolific and advanced observatory satellite, telescopes on the planet. One out in Arizona that they call Lucifer, which is weird, and then one down in, I think is it Venezuela, Jeremiah?
Yeah.
Down in the south, in the southeast. I can't say it.
Venezuela or Argentina, somewhere like that.
I think Arecibo. They just tore that one up, didn't they?
Yes.
They dismantled that one.
Yeah. Man, I can sit and talk to you for hours.
Me too, man. Me too.
Makes you scratch your head, don't it?
I got so many dang questions. I'm like, I gotta bite my tongue.
Well, that's okay. You're not insulting me or bothering me. I mean, I love the questions, and this is all Sasquatch stuff, but there's peripheral stuff going around. So if you have to really segregate them after a point, because Gary had mentioned, well, maybe the dog man was my issue. It was the instigator of all the weirdness. Maybe not. But I didn't see it or experience it. I took a report here about 4 months ago, and the guy goes, oh yeah, I saw a dog man too. This is down here in South Missouri. I mean, not even south, it's south of me, about 60, 70 miles. And actually this dog man creature down there in the Amarugia conservation area The nickname for that creature is the Amarugia Ridge Runner. Say that 10 times fast. Amarugia Conservation Area in Missouri. But and there's a band called the Amarugia Ridge Runners. They named themselves after this dog man that's supposed to be hanging out down here. And so I took this big Sasquatch report, and the guy was saying, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you about 2-3 years ago, I saw an Anubis. It was just like Brendan Fraser movie, the Mummy. I mean, that's how he described it. And he described it, from the knees up, because they couldn't see the knees down. He either was in the field, or they were not visible for whatever reason."
I was just gonna mention Anubis, man. Before you said it, I was just gonna mention Anubis. As far as ancient cultures, they all have their depiction.
Yeah, and there's a Native American group down there. There's a small tribe, and that's kind of common knowledge with this tribe down there. It's a real loose-knit group. I didn't get into it because I had to go and he had to go, and he kind of threw it in at the end of the interview. But I went and looked it up, and there is a band called the Amarugia Ridge Runners, and that's what the name of this Anubis-type creature has been given by the locals down there.
I think I remember Randy Arrington, in our dealings in the past, talking about that, because he's been all down through that area, and he's even come across reports of dogmen all the way down into Lake Ulaga here in Oklahoma. Northeast Oklahoma.
Stop! I'm doing a show.
Well, I tell you what, I have a Native American who lives in Oklahoma. And I took one of his reports. He's got several reports, and he's real big on this. But dogman is like, no big deal. They exist. Forest people exist. Little people in the forest and things. Of course, it's Native American. You have to kind of weave through the folklore and the mythology, and but the constant stories that are handed down are to be revered. I mean, this is a story that my elder and my elder before him and my medicine man and they're all been handed down by the tribal elders who have great respect shown to them. So they don't have a written record, they don't have a written history, so it's all handed down. And the young guys, the young Native Americans, they want to talk about it. The old ones, the old guard, they don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
You do not.
You see a lot of that here in Oklahoma.
Yeah, and I'm part Mohawk. My grandma was still Mohawk, and in our tribe, you don't mention anything dogman type. They look at it as something no good.
Yeah.
We just interviewed.
I guess it depends on the tribe, Yeah.
We just interviewed a guy of Jeremiah's tribe a few weeks ago that kind of really is into David. Is into the dogman phenomena, and he says we don't hardly mention it on the reservations, and even in Oklahoma, they don't talk about that. Me myself, I have a hard enough time dealing with the Sasquatch that I've seen. I don't want to think about looking at a dogman.
But you did see it, didn't you? And it does exist in your world.
Oh, I see.
Oh,
yeah.
So I know it exists.
So that's your reality, and you can't take it away.
No, I know.
With everybody else that sees and experiences things, either a sight or a sound, even if you're a confirmed non-believer, if your wife comes in and says, "Honey, I just saw the most incredible thing," what are you going to do? Tell her she's full of crap? Are you going to listen?
Prime example, my wife was not a believer until she's seen one. Now she says she's a knower,
Mm-hmm.
And like you said earlier, and I hear Nate say it all the time, us as researchers or enthusiasts, or however you want to put it, we almost have to believe. If you don't believe, you're not going to be able, like you saying, you're not going to be able to glean the information or respond with the right questions.
Yeah, you have to pretty much consider it all and just kind of peel it away as it falls by the wayside. It may never fall by the wayside. The more people I talk to, the more I'm emboldened that there is something going on. My primary thing is the Sasquatch, and the communication and the language and the structures are a language. They are saying something with these structures. We just haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
They can count Boy, the one story I was going to tell you, I don't know if we got time. It might take me 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We got 10. Go ahead. Yeah. Tell it.
Okay.
Sure.
Illinois, here we go again. Okay, so I lead the expedition and we go down to this area in Illinois, and we found 3 footprints. Actually, we found 5. We cached 3. We left them there for the day to let them cure. Went out and did some other things. We came back to get them. There were trees pushed over, blocking access to each print. They were 25, 30 feet away from each other. So there was 3 trees. All the trees, if you're walking down this embankment, the trees were pushed all from the right-hand side, covering up. And they were just saplings, so you could just kind of pull them back, and there they were. We dug them up and took them and everything. So we had an experience on a Friday night where there were 6 of us on my expedition. Here's the key thing. There was only 6 people. 4 actual expedition goers, because they had canceled it, then they put it back on the books. Well, a lot of people went to do other things. So I had 4 people plus myself plus my partner in Illinois. There's 6 of us all together. Friday night, he couldn't go down this ravine because it's really treacherous and it's really hard to walk. So he stayed by the cars while we went down. I took the newbies down, or the expedition goers. These creatures surrounded us on both sides of this ravine. We could hear them. They were throwing sticks and little twigs at us, little pebbles, but they weren't communicating like grunts or growls, but you could hear them. They were walking and trampling the ground, and you could hear the ground vibrating. So they were watching us. And so we got to this tree, which was blocking the trail. We said, well, let's go ahead and go back. We've had enough excitement for the night. And, there was a person there. I was worried that this person might do something stupid and get herself or other people hurt. So I was leading the expedition. I decided to go back. We went back Saturday, and hunting season opened that Saturday. We went back Saturday night to the same place, nothing, because all the gunfire and everything, hunters had driven out all the action and everything. So my partner and I decided to go back there October of 2020, just he and I, so we could go revisit the area. We go back down, we see where we had dug up the prints. We saw the trees. They were still pushed over. They were still alive. They had pushed them over to a degree that they were still rooted. They were just saplings, but they were still alive, and they were still alive a year later. We got down to the area where we decided to turn around, and nothing had really changed. There were 2 more giant trees that had either been pushed or fell over. So I decided, I'm gonna put a couple of cameras here, see if I catch anything. This seems to be an area they're attracted to. So I put a couple of trail cameras up. We left, it was a Tuesday. It was about 1:00 when we left. I went back Wednesday morning on my way back to Missouri to pick up the cameras. I get down there, and did I send you those gifting rock photos, Nathan? Nate?
I'm trying to remember. I know you sent
the
me quite
log.
a
It's
few
got the
photos.
rocks on the log.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yep, that rings a bell.
So I get down there to get my cameras, and the tree, I was there yesterday. There was nothing there. There's 5 rocks on one end of the tree and 1 rock at the very end of the tree. Me was the bigger rock, and there are 4 rocks behind me. That's me leading the investigation. My partner, Harold, didn't go Friday night or Saturday night. He stayed with the cars one night. He stayed back at camp on Saturday. So that's him at the end of the rock, end of the log. 5 and 1. There's 6 of us. It was nothing other than, oh my God, they're counting us. They knew it was me. They knew I was coming back to get my camera, and they had these rocks put on the trees so that we would see them the next morning.
That's an oh shit moment.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's an oh shit moment.
Yeah. Well, here's another oh shit moment. At the end of another tree was 2 rocks. Now, my buddy Harold is kind of a chunkier guy. short and round. I'm kind of tall and skinny. So there's a big rock and a smaller rock. Me, Harold. You just get to,
that gets me
we
excited.
left at I left at 1:00 Tuesday. I went back Wednesday at 8:00 in the morning to get my stuff. So there's only a 19-hour time frame for somebody to have gone there, placed the rocks. And I get it. I do see rock stacking from time to time. People, nature lovers, they go out and they're out hiking in the woods and they stack rocks and they put a feather or a leaf under it to, pay homage to Mother Nature. You see that often. But this was the 4 small rocks and the big rock, which is me, the leader, and it's pointing. So that's like a leader rock. And then there's Harold at the other end. He didn't go either night. They knew I was going to see that. It was there for me and me only. I went there at 8:00. I saw all that. And it was like, I was screaming and jumping up because there's nobody there. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it was like, and in my book, they can count. I mean, I've got several examples of counting, it's old news.
I agree.
Jeremiah, they count. I mean, they can count you down. They know how many's there. And they, how many times you go to a parking lot or pull up somewhere and you hear, boom, you hear a knock and you're by yourself. You get out of your car, boom. Well, there's a human in the woods. Anyway, that was the end of my, well, I'm pretty sure they can count. No, holy crap, they can count. This is it. That was the numbers matched and they weren't there the day before. Somebody would have had 19 hours to come during a work week, during the pandemic, to go down there, put these rocks there and leave without us seeing.
And knowing where you was at, where you was going to be, you being there in that big void.
Right.
No.
Yeah. I can't talk myself out of it. I can't even talk you out of it. You can't talk yourself out of what it is.
Yeah.
And I share those photos with them, Nick, because that is really.
I will.
That and that's
definitely. Definitely like to see him for sure. Excuse me.
But it can't be. I mean, I guess it could be anything else, but it's not anything else other than what it is. That was for me. And if Harold had been there, he would have been there too, but he lived in Illinois. He was going the other way. I was stopping by to get my cameras on the way out of town back to Missouri. So it was for nobody else other than me, or if Harold was with me, for him. And I told him about it. He was going, oh my God. I even took 2 of the rocks back to my car and dusted them for fingerprints. I carry a DNA kit at all times. Nothing on there, but just blew my mind. So that just another thing that I know they're communicating. And that when that happened in the 6 months since I was there, say October 20, October, November, December, January, February, 5 months. That just told me all I needed to know. And all this other weird stuff that's happening at our house. It's an origination point, I don't think I have an active imagination. I mean, I do, but I don't, I mean, it's just like, well, that's what that is. I try to talk myself out of it.
It's putting all the pieces together. Yeah,
exactly.
What an experience
in your own, in your way, how you're seeing things, you're putting it together in your way,
Yeah. It was clues. Now, could it be something else? Yeah, maybe there were 7 rocks there and a squirrel running across the tree knocked one off. I mean, a lot of, and when I'm writing this book, I'm putting all the pros and cons of why it is and why it isn't. And it's like overwhelmingly, this is what it is. It looks like a duck, quacks like a duck. It's a Sasquatch, it's just, that's what it is.
When you was talking about the trees being laid across the trail, my first thought was, Nate's experience up in the, the Pacific Northwest, where the aggressive, the more aggressive, where the trees was pushed over. But your experience was just totally kind of the opposite of it. It was more like a more, how would you say that, Nate?
Benign?
Yeah.
Benign.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, hey, human.
We know you're here.
This is cool. And, I'm going to throw this out there. And if you pick up on it, great. If not, well, you're not ready yet. But I went, You know, I probably drove 150 miles on the way home, 150 miles an hour. I was just like, oh my God, I can't wait. You know, because I couldn't wait to go home and look at the pictures and look at them and like, okay, let's calm down and look at it and go, oh, it still is what it is.
It makes us wonder how many times, you know, Nate and Jeremiah say it all the time, but how many times we walk right by something like that and never doing two together.
We've learned, you know, over time, we've learned they leave you little clues and stuff is what they do.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
Real quick, I'll just mention this last time we went to the hunting camp to go hunting this year. Our privacy tent was pushed over where we used the bathroom, got our bucket in this privacy tent. It's a nylon tent. Well, they came in at night and pushed that tent over. And, you know, any other time you could say, well, the wind, there was no wind or anything, but, you know, a small animal could do that, or the wind. But we woke up in the morning, the thing was on its side, and there was a really old rusted tin can placed right on top of it. You know, how do you explain
probably
that?
telling you that you get things.
Yeah. Well,
they're tapping you on the shoulder. They're just,
you know what it was? I think we
tapping
figured
you on
it
the
out.
shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we the night before we'd been messy where we cleaned out the truck and we're throwing our empty cans around by the fire, and we were going to pick them up in the morning. We just didn't want to do it that night. And here that thing gets pushed over and it's got the old rusty can on it. Wow. I think they were telling us to clean up our stuff.
Absolutely.
You know, but the more you do this, the more you look for stuff like that. The more you notice stuff like that.
So, guys, I hate to do this. I'm starting to get Sasquatch eye.
Hey, let's plug Carter's book right here. It's Sasquatch Evidence of Enigma.
Well, that's the black and white version. Let me get my color one here.
Mine will be here in 3 days. I ordered it about an hour ago.
There it is.
Cool.
That's it. You know,
Carter, I'm very impressed with the way you speak and the way you put things, man. It's just
handprint.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I need to. I'll mail one of these color ones out there. You guys can just kind of share it, shop it around, and look. I mean, it's the same stuff in that one, but that's just the black and white version. But the color photos, I wrote the thing. I'm going, I can't do black and white. The photos are so, you know, who wants to see black and white photos of a green forest? So I made them all color. Cost more money. But, you know,
that's a lot better though. Yeah.
It's good stuff.
And I just started reading your
stuff in the book you got, you know.
Yeah, and I apologize. I haven't read it yet. I did start it. I'm about, 6-7 pages in, so I plan on finishing it. But yeah, we've talked a little bit and stuff. So yeah, it's been a great show. Thanks for coming on.
Awesome show, man. I'd love to have you back on sometime if you want.
Whenever. I'm open. I love talking to stuff. You know, we can talk about specific reports or other belief systems or what have you. You know, I mean,
sure.
You know,
and I gotta do it, Jeremiah. You know, I love you like my brother, but I've also got a podcast, and I'm gonna have your butt on there because we're gonna discuss some other stuff that you've done windows about.
There you go.
We'll be talking for
absolutely.
One quick thing, just south of you, Carter, not very far. I can't give the location because of my respect for Shane and Randy with Ozark Mountain Sasquatch, but they literally documented where rocks was being thrown in to them. They took a black marker, and this is in the middle of the night, and documented it all on film and marked those rocks and threw them back. And those same rocks was thrown back at them.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
The intelligence level.
Awesome.
They know exactly what they're doing. You know, in the book, that Nate got, you hadn't read it yet, but it gets to counting. There's so many instances of them counting us down. It's just mind-boggling.
Wood box and hoops and me and Nate and Jeremiah was just discussing the other day about just talking about the bends. We're seeing patterns build up with tree structures and bends from different parts of the country that all mean the same, but yet there's differences. Like Jeremiah's tree structures are more like a Hogan house. Like the First Nations of that area. Out here where I'm at, they're more teepee style.
Yeah, more teepee.
And where Nate is, they're more wigwam style. It's so crazy how
it's just it's amazing. It's what it is.
It's remarkable.
But it was a pleasure, Carter.
Oh, it really was. Anytime. Just
thank you so much.
Yeah,
we really enjoyed it.
Cracked just the tip of the iceberg.
Yes, we did. Well, we'll have you back on. Jerry has you on his panel. We'll crack it some more after he cracks it open some more, and we'll keep on cracking. How's that sound?
Yeah, baby.
Sounds good.
Thanks
again, Carter. Good to see you.
Enjoyed it.
Keep in touch.
Good to see you guys.
Send me a link so I can make you guys famous.
We'll do, buddy. Talk to you guys later.
Good night to y'all.
You too.
We'll see you.